Hey there guys, it's Mucho, and today we're taking a look at the Eye of Azshara from the Brewmaster point of view, giving the Brewmaster another little bit of love because they buffed the class, the Spec a little bit specifically. A few small buffs, but the big one that you're going to notice in this video is Explosive Keg, I think. Exploding Keg, whatever the name of the ability is. It's a 1 minute and 25 second CD, something like that. And it does a lot of damage now. The big issue I had with the ability prior was, first of all, that it did very little damage, and second of all, that its defensive component was near useless. Basically, what it used to do was it made the next attack that it hit, like for any mob, it's an AoE, so it could hit multiple mobs, so a little bit of value there, but one attack would miss, okay? Now, it makes all attacks miss for 3 seconds, so it's just a flat-out buff, and it does more damage than Keg Smash now, where it used to do like 100k, now it does almost 400k, so a big DPS increase. When you pop this Keg Smash and Breath of Fire on the pole, you do almost 1 million DPS, just for those two globals, of course, but that is a very nice thing to see for the Brewmaster. They didn't feel like they were getting much love, and you know, they're still fairly weak. A lot of people, the first video I did on that kind of gotten some critical acclaim because I was praising Brewmaster, but in reality, I was just inexperienced with the class. They're still pretty paper thin, if you ask me. They're definitely the worst mitigators in the entire game. I thought that the active mitigation they had was going to be very good, but it's really their passive mitigation which is really good. Their active mitigation is almost horrible. There is a few really specific situations that it is godlike for. Basically any like very quick massive hit it is amazing for, but it's actually bad for the opposite. For like the first bot, like Hrimdall in Halls of Valor, he hits really hard. And even on this boss, you'll see it, like just consistent hard damage, the monk is not equipped for. Every other class is equipped for it. They all have a nice strong reduction CD that they can use to help the healer catch up. At least Brewmaster has some nice self-healing now, so that's pretty good. But yeah, their real strength comes in their absolute absurd damage with Keg Smash. They have some good mitigation. I'd say, since it's a 5-minute CD, of course, this is expected, but you know, your 5-minute CD, their Iron Scale or Iron Skin Brew or whatever, Fortifying Brew, that's the other one. Fortifying Brew is obviously amazing. It's the best in the game, but the Iron Skin thing is not, it's not very good at all. And there's some good synergy I've started trying. I like the final talent, the 100 talent for, it's whenever you cleanse, you get some dodge percentage for a little bit. It's always at least 5, but it can go up to 15 if you cleanse a lot. Purify a lot of stagger is what I'm trying to say here. But I think what you're going to see the best out of Brewmaster is just their damage output, which is not really surprising. Tanks are doing a lot of damage, but this is still heroic, obviously, and you can just tell how much I'm excelling in this in terms of damage. There's some spiky incoming damage taken, difficult to survive if you're taking a lot of that a lot of the time, but the passive stagger is really useful. Like, since they've devalued armor so much, the difference of wearing leather and plate is not as important as it used to be for melees, and stagger is a really useful mechanic with that in mind. So I'd say they definitely have the best passive mitigation, but they have the worst active mitigation. Now, I've yet to try Blood properly. I tried it in the alpha pretty heavily, but I can't imagine that. I think it's going to be the opposite for them as well. They'll probably have the best active mitigation, if anything. So yeah, it's cool. I do like the Spec, though. I like the class fantasy. I like the way it plays. I especially like now the buff that they received. That is a very generous buff. That ability is a pretty regularly usable ability. So this is why it's so good, guys, because it's an offensive, like an incredible offensive buff. So you use it on the pole, and for those 3 seconds, you can't get hit. So that means that, you know, your healer has time to set up a lot of the times, especially in dungeons. Back in the day too, if you recall, like the first few seconds were tough because the healer's got to run into position. Sometimes you have to like run up ahead. You know, you can't just stay where you are and expect the mob to come to you. Sometimes you have to run up ahead and then cast, you know, like a 1 to 2 second cast. So the first 3-4 seconds are pretty difficult to heal with, and that's not really changed in Legion, honestly. Healers have a tough time about it, from what I can tell from my experience, and monks aren't making them any easier, honestly. But the cool part about it is, that is a very good offensive ability, so you're going to want to use it on the pole, and it's also going to give you that little bit of time there where you're immune, essentially. You're not immune, but you're not taking any melee swings. So that's cool. I think the 3-second thing is going to be a lot more applicable as well. We were talking about great situations for the single swing, something like a devastating strike, you have like a second or two, and then he hits you for like 90% of your health or something like that. That would be where that ability previously was absolutely insane. Now it's a little bit more broad, a little bit more general. You can kind of use a lot of different situations to your advantage with that one. Things like Tordos, the snapping bite on Tordos, abilities like that. This is really, really strong in, but like I said, with that and then your other active mitigation, Iron Skin Brew, those two things are immensely important for those types of abilities. But just regular melees, you're going to be taking a lot of damage. Like I regularly take more damage from stagger, like around the same, at least, because obviously some of it's going to get purified, but around the same from stagger as you do from melees, which I guess is the point of it. It's like you're meant to be able to purify it, but if you're taking a lot of damage, it's very difficult to continue to do that. And if you're not taking a lot of damage, you don't need the abilities. They don't do anything. Now, I suppose that's true with other tanks as well, like especially Warrior. The Absorb is 100% useless if you're not actually needing it. At least there's some synergy with Demon Hunter's usage of it, but in general, I don't know. I'm still really undecided on it, but I am here to tell you guys that I am not as fearful for Monk as I once was. A lot of people, especially, I tried to do that Mythic and it was a disaster. Monk was getting crushed. I wasn't able to survive. It's a small sample size, of course, but that's an issue I don't care to have. Like, I'm somebody who likes to play this game at a high level, especially in dungeons. I like to be on top of my game. I like to be the most informed and important player in the 5-man, especially why I like tanking, because that role is doubly important for that type of mindset. But when the Monk was performing so poorly, even though I was a little undergeared, I've gained almost 5 item levels since the last time I did that, so that certainly doesn't hurt. But as you see right here, the heal does a decent amount, but you don't have any real way to just mitigate constant incoming damage. So it just worried me. It worried me a lot, and it kind of scared me, actually, I think is the more appropriate way to put it. It really did scare me. I was really scared for the Monk. I felt like they were going to be unplayable, kind of like Warriors are in challenge modes now. Obviously, it's a little bit different now that people have figured them out, but Warrior basically brought nothing to the table. Their active mitigation in WoD was absolutely horrible compared to DKs, compared to any other tank, really, but especially DKs. They were just completely outclassed, and I'm really scared about that, because the Mythic Plus thing seems amazing. I really can't wait to try it. I really can't wait to do it, but I just get so scared, man, because you're gonna have to pug at some point. Like, it's just how it is. You're gonna have to pug at some point. And when these stupid idiot pugs, like these morons, just straight up morons, man. No offense, guys, but these guys are just morons, man. It's really embarrassing. And they're like, oh no, you can only do blah 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 blah. You can only bring this class. No, you must be Demon Hunter, etc. It's like, all right, well, I mean, I understand why people are like that. I understand they want the best chance at success, but the game is not like it was in Classic, man. You can complete content with any group. Obviously, challenge modes are much easier with the DK tank, and I think any self-respecting tank that wants to do challenge modes should just do them on a DK now, especially because you're gonna get everything for every character. I guess minus the portals. I don't know how that's gonna work, but it does kind of strike a bell for me. It's like, fuck, man, I really want to play the Monk, but I'm not allowed to because the game gave them shitty active mitigation. So I don't know, you'll see a little bit more here. This is a dungeon that doesn't have a lot of trash, doesn't have a lot of challenges to it, but it was really the best example I can get out of today. Don't have a lot of time to play, but I was really excited to check out the Brewmaster again. I basically at a point now where my Demon Hunter is he's as geared as he's gonna get. I could get some Titan Forge pieces from Heroics, but they're gonna be difficult to come by. And it's very difficult to find groups for Mythic on the beta because everybody is they're either Russian or Chinese or complete idiots, so it's kind of hard. And the people in my guilds are still gearing up and leveling up. They're just getting into the beta now, so kind of experimenting. I'm probably going to be spending a little bit more time with Paladin, probably Holy, but I'll definitely be trying Protection as well. I like Protection as a theory, but I haven't really loved its its self-heal seems cool, but I don't know. That's a topic for another video anyway. So yeah, here's a great example, guys. Try to skip these mobs and like they just pull like 2 different packs. I mean, I don't know how it's even possible. And then they start like blaming each other. They're like, lol, I tried to help you and then you left me. It's like, well, you guys are dead because you pulled mobs that you shouldn't have fucking pulled. So there's nothing to argue about here, man. Just pay attention next time. But here's a good example. This as well hits pretty hard with that channel ability, so we'll see where it goes. The actual damage incoming is always going to be staggered, which is very cool. I like that a lot. I really do. I feel like the passive mitigation Monk has is absolutely amazing. Like, it's really good for these low damage, this like low challenge type of dungeon. They feel like there's times where I feel like I'm not even taking damage. Like, I know I'm tanking an entire pack and they're not even dealing damage to me, and that's because of stagger. Like, I'm able to purify the stagger often. I get the dodge from that level 100 talent, and they're barely hitting me anyway because I'm staggering it 40% or 35%, whatever it is of it. So yeah, it's really good for like the low damage situation. But I feel like we're back to the they're fucked for high damage situation again. You know, like how it was in Mop before they buffed Guard. Like without High Vengeance, Guard was useless back in Mop, if you remember. And it's gonna probably be that way again now without Guard. You're just not really gonna have much to take on a very high damage pull, like other than constantly purifying stagger, or of course your 5-minute CD. You don't have anything. You literally don't have anything. You have to use the exploding keg or explosive keg, whatever. That would actually be really good. So you know, it's kind of important to have that for AoE packs. It's only 3 seconds, so mobs obviously survive longer than that. So you're gonna start getting hit pretty hard. I think I get hit pretty hard as well here. Let's take a look. I haven't really paid much attention to the dungeon. In case you guys are wondering, it's a Frost Death Knight, a Fury Warrior, and a Shadow Priest. The Warrior and the Priest are, I don't know, they're pretty bad. DK is really strong right now. Both Unholy and Frost seem really good, so I'm excited to see DK going forward. A good buddy of mine, he was trying out Mage, but now he's back to his Death Knight, a character he's played for like 8 years, so I think he's going to do really well on the class. The class looks extremely strong right now, damage-wise at least. I haven't seen much blood, but yeah, topping the charts by a fucking mile. And that's just how we are as a tank, and especially Brewmaster. I feel like now that they've nerfed Warrior and you know, Demon Hunter, I'm obviously more geared on, so I could probably do that same damage. But the thing is, Keg Smash is all the damage. Like, Demon Hunter's baseline damage without any CDs isn't that exceptional, but with CDs, they are very, very strong. They have 3 really strong offensive CDs, and even a 4th if you want to take it. But the Monk has none. They have no real offensive CD, at least. I don't know, maybe the Nizao guy does some damage. I haven't really tried that. It seems like a waste of talent, but Keg Smash does 35 to 50% of your damage on every pull, you know what I'm saying? So, and then you get the golden talent, the golden trait for Breath of Flame, which reduces the damage the mob takes, stacks up every second. It's happening. So yeah, these things all just synergize exceptionally well in terms of a damage kit. Now, like I said, of course, in terms of a reduction kit, it's kind of difficult to use, kind of awkward to use, kind of difficult to react to if you're not like 100% aware of what's happening. It's kind of like that panic mode situation where it's like, oh god, I've started to get really hard, what do? I die. You know what I mean? If you don't have charges of heals, if you don't have Expel Harm, if you don't have Fortifying Brew, or I can't remember. Yeah, Fortifying Brew, that's the name. That's a 5-minute CD. If you don't have that, you're in trouble because you have no oh shit button anymore. You don't have Guard to save your ass. You don't have Guard to put like a 800k absorb on you. You know what I mean? When you have this much health, like it's just nuts. It was so impactful. But I'm telling you guys right now, the class, the spec is still absolutely amazing. It's probably going to be a little different for raids. I think you're going to have to, I don't know, I think they're going to have to buff it for raids because unless I'm missing something, I just don't see how they're going to constantly take large melees. They literally have nothing to deal with it other than stagger, which is just passive. And even Iron Skin Brew, like adding more to that passively is not, it's not very good. Like I said, the best way to use it is to just kind of mitigate a large hit. So if you don't have a large hit, like, you know, if there was a boss that only swung every 5 seconds with a really large hit, and they never swung, like, there's never any other damage on the fight, then Monk would be absolutely the best tank in the game for that. It would be a fun encounter, actually. It'd be like the old patchwork days, but if that was a fight that was in the game again, then Monk would be the best for it without any question. They definitely have the best way to deal with that large spike damage. They have a couple good ways to deal with it, actually. So really a lot of good ways. You could throw the keg, the explosive keg. You could use dampen harm, or you could use, of course, your 4 charges of active mitigation. And the cool thing is, like, you negate, like, the extra 40% of that or whatever it is, and then you just purify it immediately. It's like you never took that damage. You could even purify twice back to back, so you literally don't take the damage. Don't forget, the purifying only removes half of what you're taking currently. So if you're taking 600k, it'll go down to 300k. So yeah, that's unfortunate, but I mean, that's balance, right? Either way. One thing I definitely was not satisfied with in this dungeon was the DPS. The bosses seem to die very slowly, as you can see. And some bosses, Shadow Priest was doing absolutely no damage whatsoever, which is kind of weird because I've seen Shadow Priest do insane bursts. In fact, I think most people would say that they are potentially one of the best ranged specs in the game currently. Maybe top 5 specs in general, but I don't know what's doing that. I've heard people talk about this talent that you die from when you run out of the resource or whatever, but while you're alive with it, you have insane damage potential. I mean, maybe that's it. Maybe that's how some are doing such insane damage. I don't really know, but I have seen a good amount of Shadow Priests, considering the spec was such a dead spec in this expansion, especially, which is a sad thing because they were really strong in Wrath and some in Kata too, but yeah, it's just kind of unfortunate. But we have, of course, Fury Warrior and Frost DK2. Now, those classes aren't necessarily weak, but I think they could be stronger. I think Unholy Death Knight is just simply better. Obviously, I'm not sure exactly what's going on with damage, but as of the last build, DPS Demon Hunter seemed to be absolutely #1, like without any dispute. Enhanced Shaman, Unholy DK, these were amazing. We had Arcane Mage, Shadow Priest. It was both hunters seemed pretty good. Marksman, BM, Survival, and I actually played with a Survival Hunter, but that's a story for another day. But yeah, as we see, Fury a little bit bursty here, kind of unexpectedly. I don't really know what's going on with Fury. I think it's that they have that for everything is 100% crit for 5 seconds. That ability is crazy, especially on prot. So I can only imagine how good it is on actual DPS Demon Hunter, or DPS Warrior, but. Yeah, you'll see the Monk tank topping the charts there for a little bit. We get the other two kind of rising up, but it's all, like I said, if you throw down Explosive Keg Smash, and Flame Breath in 3 globals, you will top the charts. I don't really care who you are, man. Like, maybe there's, Sub-Rogues, very bursty, Arcane Mage, some burst too, but it's just incredible damage. Like, it's unbelievable damage I don't expect to see from a tank. I don't expect to see, 3 global 1 million bursts from a tank. The issue is they're all CDs, so you can't use them again. It's not like Arcane Mage where you can do that 1 million bursts in 3 globals and then keep going for another 3, 4, 5, 6 globals. Once you use those, you're done. That's your whole offense for a few minutes at least. You can keep Keg Smash up every like 6, 8 seconds, whatever your haste is like. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, let me know. I really enjoy playing the spec, so probably gonna do some more dungeons, but I'm glad to see that there are other brewmasters out there that are also enthusiastic.